Welcome to the Wednesday evening meditation service. The word for today with Daily Word is, through Spirit, I am abundantly prospered. It does not take money to pray, to sing, or to practice the presence of God. Whatever lifts me up heightens my awareness of my rich spiritual life. As I continue to cultivate that connection, I fill my mind and heart with prosperous thoughts and feelings. With gratitude, I share that joy with people all around me. My prosperous attitude is infectious, and others are eager to know why I feel this way. I share the simple truth that is easy to discover. Prosperity comes from a deep knowing that God is my source of all good. Because of this, I am abundantly prospered in all ways. And if you would like to have a name called out tonight, if you could come to the prayer box. There's paper on the side and pen. Write their name on the piece of paper and put it in the prayer box. I will pick it up while Jack is speaking so that every name that we would like to pray over will be done tonight. So we're going to be doing a chant, and just relax and you repeat what I say and sing, and just relax and just feel the presence. I am the wind, the breeze upon the seas. I am the wave, on the ocean. I am the murmur of the leaves rustling. I am the rays of the sun. I am the beam of the moon and stars. I am the power of trees growing. I am the bud breaking into bloom. of the salmon swimming. I am the size of the mighty oak tree. Let every voice but God's be still in me. Let me remember what my purpose is. Surrounded by the love of God. Let all things be exactly as they are. This is the time of stillness and peace. My present happiness is all I see. All fear is past, and only love is here. Eternal holiness abides in me.
Good evening, everyone. I see one brave person sitting down here. I can't see anybody else. There must be somebody in the back, yes. Cowering in the shadows. Okay. There's another brave person coming down. Don't get too close to the origin of spirit. All right, yes, come on down. That's great. Some time back, I heard a New Thought minister gently mocking a traditional Christian minister who said, God only wants everyone to be nice. And it was an interesting point because if you think about it from the Christian minister's point of view, God created us and gave us free will. And after that, could only have hopes that we would be nice. So in the Christian minister's mind, he sees the problem that mankind is using his free will to not be honorable, considerate, patient, kind, those type of things that Jesus spoke about and that Paul the Apostle said were the fruits of the Spirit. So the fact comes down that many, many people aren't nice. And I think it's, you get a testimony of that on the social media platforms. I heard somewhat of a debate today. I get my information, all this great information that I share with you, I get in my 20-minute ride down from my house to the church on the radio. Don't think I spend, copious amounts of time in the library researching deep theological thoughts because I just take whatever's available and I try to use it to make some semblance of truth. That part of it I've been practicing for a long time. But this particular debate about the social media was that this gentleman who said, boy, when Facebook first started, I, along with everybody else, thought what a great thing this is. You can just get out there and say whatever you want to say, report about what's going on in your life, tell them, things that are going on with your family or friends. And the same thing with other social media platforms. We thought, well, this is going to be good because it's going to open up more communication between people. But this particular person that was bringing up the issue, who happened to be a professor of integrity at some university, said around 2009 to 2012, the whole thing shifted on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and all the different media platforms. It shifted that you could just see that people were taking out their frustration. It may have been they were taking out their frustration, but it seemed like people going onto those platforms were simply more involved in finding fault, maligning other people or their points of view and putting them down. And then you had the people just, that segued as far into what you would call hate speech and things like that. And so he said, so since that time, there has been a shift in the collective consciousness, a big shift. He said there's always been some disagreement among people. That's acceptable because we all have our different personal points of view. And that's really what democracy and government is all about, containing the conflict between people and, being there to help quiet it down and keep people in line so they don't get crazy about their point of view being the correct point of view. He said, but that's gone out the door. He said, there's no longer an attempt to control the necessary conflict that takes place in people's consciousness. There seems to be an all-out war in people, that they are just taking issue with anything anybody says on the social media that's not in total agreement with their particular point of view. And in some of them, they become slanderous and want to malign these people. They want to hurt them or destroy their reputation. And so he said, so that is really something that was unanticipated. Just before, he said around 2009 to 2012, all of this started. And now we're in the thick of it. And it just seems like people are, not happy at all with their particular lot in life, with being okay that other people have different points of view, different opinions, different lifestyles. So they are taking issue with that. Well, you never thought there would be such an outcry and such an outrageous outcry against that which goes against someone's point of view. He said, but that's where we are right now. And I think it has to do, of course, with the attempt for human beings to solve our problems using linear thought is a futile endeavor. Because as long as we're operating from a particular definition of life that is mostly egocentric, that definition of life does not play toward harmony, healing, and peace. So what we're getting is this more and more isolated, I'm right, you're wrong perspective among the human race. And it's interesting that Eckhart Tolle pointed out recently, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that the human race will go crazy, absolutely crazy. And he's pointing out the fact that the accepted definition of life from the egocentric perspective is flawed and can only lead to conflict and more conflict. And of course, the masters down through the ages pointed to the last days when the civilization would be destroyed. And it doesn't necessarily, if you look at it symbolically, doesn't mean destroyed by literal fire, but destroyed by the fact that we have no longer any ability to communicate and to trust. And so what would happen is you'd get a terrible outpicturing of anger, viciousness, war, killing, murder, deceit. And that would be the end of civilization as we know it. And it may end, it could end, in dropping bombs on each other. But if you look at the egocentric definition of life, that my point of view is correct, and anyone's point of view that doesn't agree with mine is incorrect and needs to be upbraided, or in some cases needs to be punished. When you look at that, it reminds you that this initial idea of living in this consciousness is something that I believe mankind had to go through. You know, when it talks about eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right and wrong, in the Garden of Gethsemane, not the Garden of Eden. But so that in there we fell away from harmony. We fell away from delight. We fell away from brotherhood and sisterhood. I remember that when I took my son, I believe it was Dell, when he was 8 years old, we were living in San Angelo, Texas, and one of the children in his class had a birthday party at a roller skating rink, and had all these kids out there roller skating around, and there were party treats and favors and games, but the roller skating was a big part of it. And they had a young man there that was on the roller skating rink who was supposed to take care of things. He was a really brilliant roller skater, beautiful. I mean, he'd skate backwards, sideways, twirl around and do things like that. And I guess it was just to inspire the young children toward the idea that in roller skating you can do a lot of amazing things. But he was also there to help the kids up that fell down and were just learning how to skate or hadn't roller skated. And while this was all going on, I was watching this from the sideline, and there was a young boy that fell down somewhere toward the middle of the rink. He fell down, and while he was down, he just kept putting his leg out to trip somebody who was coming by, to trip some of the skaters coming by. And it wasn't noticed by the guy that was dealing with all the kids and skating around. But he tripped a number of kids, made them fall down where they were. Finally, the roller skating guy came over and lifted him up and got him started again roller skating. He wasn't good at roller skating. He was just learning, I guess. But he wound up falling again, but this time toward the sidelines by the bars that are the circumference of the roller skating rink. And while he was there in the shadows, he's still putting out his leg to trip people coming by. And I thought about that. There is a certain element in human beings, especially with people that somehow or other have given up on finding harmony or peace within themselves. And it seems to them that they need to bring other people down in order to have some kind of misguided idea of feeling good. In other words, they feel like they have some power if they can get on the social media and just tear somebody down or go after somebody's reputation or hurt somebody. So I guess they get this kind of like limited feeling of, power and the ability to do this, which replaces the natural feeling of joy and harmony and consideration that comes to us when we're there to be of service and help to life instead of trying to take it down. But I think that's part of the situation, that people who have sort of, I don't know, something may have happened in the past, or it may be that their particular situations in life were not the best. I don't know why people come up to that illusionary concept of taking down other people, but there seems to be enough of them now, especially on the social media, that people can't get enough of hatred and angst and maligning other people. And that was what the talk was about today, that has grown to such an exponential place that they don't even have an idea how you might solve that. Well, of course, it can't be solved unless people become so disgusted with life as they're living it, that they might try to turn toward another way of being alive. And that's where spirituality comes in. I think when a person is ready to do that, to find another way of being alive, for some reason, the universe offers a book or a guidance to a teacher or some kind of organization that's teaching more positive elements about life. But that, I think, is what needs to happen for people that are in that limited space of awareness. And that brings us to this concept. And it's a very clear concept that we should be able to come on to without any religious teaching. We should be able to recognize that a person's outlook determines his or her experiences, negative or positive. I mean, if we live for a while, we can discover things like that about ourselves, but it's quite often we discover it about other people around us. We see that the attitude and the outlook that they have about conditions and circumstances and other people are really like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if you hold that concept or that limited awareness about life and other people, it plays out before you. And people are surprised that that could be true because they don't realize that all minds are somehow or other in communication. So that people know, they sense something about you when you don't like them. That's the way it is. It doesn't have to be said, spoken, or any action taken to prove that point. People just don't feel comfortable around somebody that doesn't like them. And have you ever thought, would you do a favor for someone you don't like? Or would you help them out? Or see them get on better in their life if they didn't like you? Who's more likely to get a favor done but somebody that has a really positive outlook on life and a positive outlook on people? You sense that about them, and so you'd be willing to be there with them in consciousness. It's a pretty simple deal, really, if we're awake while we're living. It just seems that a lot of people are not want yet to be awake, because I think the universe is saying, hey, you want to wake up? Just give it a try. Just give it a try and see how things work better if you give it a try. But that brings us to the ultimate yoga that I speak about all the time, which last week I spoke about it, last Sunday I spoke about it in terms of mercy, but it's really forgiveness. We need to get to that place of forgiveness because we think it may be that we're forgiving other people who are offenders, but really what is happening is we are forgiving limited concepts that we ourselves are holding in our awareness. Let me share this with you from the Course in Miracles workbook. Illusions about yourself and the world are one. That is why all forgiveness is a gift to yourself. Your goal is to find out who you are, having denied your identity by attacking creation and its creator. Now you are learning how to remember the truth. For this attack must be replaced by forgiveness. In other words, an attacking mind must be replaced by forgiveness. So that thoughts of life may replace thoughts of death. Do you not then begin to understand what forgiveness will do for you? It will remove all sense of weakness, strain, fatigue from your mind. It will take away all fear and guilt and pain. It will restore the invulnerability and power God gave you. So, I mean, if you just sum it all up, these people that are trying to get revenge for their unhappiness on these social platforms are just missing out on this divinity of consciousness, which is not far away from them. It's within them and waiting for them, but they simply are in denial of anything like that. In fact, an unhealed mind sees no purpose in forgiveness except that they think of it as a ploy by religion to somehow or other keep them going to church because they don't really believe that it has any effect on the offender. This is the break right there. We don't believe that forgiveness in my consciousness has any effect on those that appear to me to be offending me. But it does, because all minds are, in effect, in communication to some degree. Yes, you can be shut down quite a bit. Some people are so belligerently shut down and in denial of the harmony and peace that's found in the awareness of brotherhood and sisterhood. They're so shut down against it. But even they respond to what is real prayer. Real prayer is an awareness, an unchanging awareness of the presence of the divine in every person, in every place, in every condition. And the master, White Eagle, from his book, Quiet Mind, he covers this stuff. I think of all the books that I've given out, I think the book that I've given out most is White Eagle's book. It's just a small book that you can carry in your pocket, and it has so many beautiful pearls of wisdom. Here's one of them. When you come up against personal hurts, try to attune yourself to the heights, to the eternal presence of Christ, calling us all to forgiveness. As you hold that ideal, think of the one with whom you are at variance, and the shift of light, a shaft of light will go to that person. Then there will be a change in the position, and all will go smoothly. In this way, crooked places are made straight. That's part of the prophecy you find in the Old Testament, that the crooked places will be made straight. So this is the Master White Eagle. When you come up against personal hurts, try to attune yourself to the heights, to the eternal presence of Christ, calling us all to forgiveness. As you hold that ideal, think of the one with whom you are at variance, and the shaft of light will go to that person. Then there will be a change in the position, and all will go smoothly. In this way, crooked places are made straight. So, the interesting thing about this is that at a time in the social media platforms where there is so much disinformation, so much lying and deceit taking place. In fact, they had a statistic today, the guy doing the debate had a statistic that there are actual people, and he said, he broke everything up into statistics, the conservative right wing and the liberal, totally liberal left wing, what percentage of them are represented in social media outcry. And then he said there's about a 3% of people who just want to make trouble. They put things out there to just make angry people, get them upset about something they're putting out there. And he said, and the worst of those are the Russians who have been messing with our social media ever since we had social media. The Russians have been putting stuff out there all the time that creates dissension. And they're not saying that this is from a Russian. They put it out there as a troll, as somebody who's just making a commentary, a really limited commentary that's going to cause someone to feel upset or angry or, prejudiced against. So there's interesting statistics on that. So we have only one course to find our way to peace and happiness, true healing and understanding. And that is through this beautiful yoga of forgiveness, putting it into practice. Let me read you one more thing as we conclude this. This is also from A Course in Miracles. This is from the workbook, page 118, paragraph 2. The seeming cost of accepting the idea that my salvation comes from me means there is nothing outside yourself that can save you. Nothing outside yourself can give you peace. But it also means that nothing outside yourself can hurt you or disturb your peace or upset you in any way. See, that's mastery. That's mastery. It's not mind over matter. It's not using your mind to treasure map the things that you're going to make happen in the world outside that's going to give you the life worth living. That's not going to do it. What's going to do it is when you find a way to live above the thinking of the world, that your spiritual practice is with you 24/7, and you are bestowing peace and receiving peace. You're bestowing harmony, receiving harmony. And your outlook on life is positive, and it's good, and it heals. So it goes on to say, today's idea places you in charge of the universe, where you belong because of what you are. This is not a role that can be partially accepted, and you must surely begin to see that accepting it is salvation. So, apart from the idea that heaven, happiness, peace, joy, insight, wisdom, and love exist in a heaven beyond us that we might get to if somehow or other we please God, who's separate from us and looking down, as that minister may think of God that way. So, aside from that limited idea which we've all embraced for a time, there is the awareness that the kingdom of God is in our midst, and we can enter it through spiritual practice, which we will do right now as we meditate together. That's a good spiritual practice. Training your mind to just relax, be still, get away from the incessant thinking of the world, and just be okay with yourself. Because if you get to that place, you're already in the presence of God. If you just look at your life and say, you know what, I'm as okay as God would have me be right now. I used to say that sometimes to God when I was not having a good day. If I'm not doing what you want me to do, then put in a personal appearance. Otherwise, I'm missing it. So that's our calling, to learn how to feel good right now. And you can, because there's nothing stopping us except our own thoughts. So we're going to meditate together and quiet down and allow the presence of this moment to be okay enough. Not the mind going off saying, I could be doing something else, I could be getting something done, I could be accomplishing this or accomplishing that. but just sitting here being okay with the moment, being okay with yourself, and say, you know what, there's nothing wrong with feeling good. Just where I am as I am. So, we'll start with this beautiful crystal bowl. Let this tone just move through us, because we are totally like musical instruments ourselves. And as we allow this tone to bring us into this present moment, feeling okay, we can just allow the ideal. God is love. Love is life. I am God's life. I am. God is love. Love is life. I am God's life. I am. Breathing in the I, breathing out the am. I am. God is love. Love is life. Life is what I am. I am God's life. I am. Breathing in the I, breathing out the am. I am. I am. I am. in this refined level of awareness, this level of acceptance of being and presence. Let us offer the names of those that have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls the name, just let a thought, you are whole, go with that name.
Dee Almeida, John Stovall, Chester Phillips, Marche, David Booker, Christine Wolfe, Ginger Adair, Christy, Craig and Louis Simpson and family, Sue Gifford, young homeless woman in blanket who would not accept help, Louis and Biggie, Steve Lundblatt, and Chloe the dog, Lynn Vankis, Elizabeth Butke, Jackie Quinn, Katrina, Christine Smock, Merlin, Lou Collins, Elena M., Hannah Golding, Donna Alfonso, Patricia D., Rose Prevost, Enzo Nelson, Matt Dunstan, Sandy Spahn and family, Dal Shad and Santisha, Sandy Bigtree, Beverly Murphy, Ukrainian people, peace in Ukraine, the Iranian soldiers, the people of Russia, air, water, earth, all life on planet Earth.
Members of the Harder family.
You can call out a name at this time if you'd like to do so. Steve Taylor.
Mercy, the dog.
We see this healing light surrounding the prayer rocks and all the people whose names have been submitted. We see them healed, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Let us take a moment now to join in a vision that this refined level of awareness shall enter the consciousness of all of those sharing this Boulder community with us. And this divine level, this positive outlook on life, rising in the consciousness of everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us, and it continuing to expand and influence everyone, every person in these United States of America. And so it moves throughout all the nations, cultures, and continents of the world, bringing to people's awareness their origin in the divine consciousness. And this being expressed in the relationships of all creatures on planet Earth, all the waterways on the planet, and the creatures of those waterways, everything finding new life in the awareness of joy and peace, harmony and love. As we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. Is Laura here? Okay. All right. And those of you that are watching this online, I heard someone last Wednesday say to me, I've been tuning into your services for a long time and getting a lot out of them, but I really haven't ever sent in any donations. If you find yourself in that category, why don't you think about just adding a little something to the church by sending a donation to Unity of Boulder? And think about making possibly a year-end tax-deductible donation. And so while considering that, let's bless the offering we bring to mind with this offering statement. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
What child is this who laid to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary.
Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. And so it is. Amen. Well, What's coming up? You know?
We're doing a winter solstice at 8 o'clock after the service next Wednesday. So that'll be in Fellowship Hall. The service will be in here before then. And you're welcome to join that.
And you still,
And
you have people joining the choir, or
no, I think we're pretty set.
you're pretty set now?
Just come. It's going to be so beautiful.
Okay. I will be speaking on Sunday.
We have tickets in the front that you can still get if you haven't picked them up, and spread them around. Invite your friends. It's going to be so beautiful. And you're going to be speaking.
Our Christmas service is easy with that, okay? Our Christmas services are really wonderful because the inspiration is there. There's so much beautiful thing taking place in the hearts and minds of people who sing together. And you're going to enjoy that. And we have a really beautiful program this year. If you come to the Christmas show, you will walk away with great hope for humanity and the planet. I promise you that. All right. Everyone, have an incredible good night. We have tea and cookies in Fellowship Hall. In the bookstore, through these doors to your left if you want to stay and chat.
And I have the Sacred Feminine at 12 o'clock tomorrow, and it'll be in the bookstore area. We really discuss how powerful the women really are on this planet. So come.
All right. Good night.